It's a glorious day to be alive and free from active addiction. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, why are you wearing that hat?
I'll tell you why I'm wearing this hat. Because it's a jungle out there and ain't nobody gonna rape and pillage my village. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Truth Addiction. This is the channel that deals with the disease of addiction and all the ways it manifests itself. I am a recovering addict. My name is Brian. My friends know me as Wawa Brian, and hopefully you will one day. You know, last week I was thinking, you need to get a strong woman in recovery on the show. You need to get a woman with strength in recovery on the show. And you need to get a woman who is living in the solution and not the problem today. And I think I have found just that. And I would like to welcome Sherene to the show. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right. So before we get into this, I just want to send out my appreciations to everybody. If you could, like the videos, comment on the videos, hit that subscribe button for me. Because right now, YouTube has us in like the death's dark corners of the fucking internet. And we're trying to get out of that, right? So here's how we do here. I have some questions I run down to people. Sure. I try to keep the questions the same because I like to get different takes on the same questions.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So with that, yeah, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get started. So could you introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been clean?
I'm an addict named Sherene. My clean date is September 27th, 2018. Okay. So I have a little over 4.5 years clean.
Damn!
Yeah.
4.5.
Good stuff.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
All right. So I remember when you came into the rooms and you got yourself a few 24 hours together and then you busted your ass on a relapse.
Yeah.
All right. But then I seen you pick yourself back up. You kept coming and you kept coming and you kept raising your hand and saying some insane shit about right? Everything was going on. But you were saying real shit and what was going on. And you know what? And I think you came to this realization that like, hey, I'm in a 12-step program. I should do the 12 steps.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
So, and now you're sitting here with what? Four?
A little over 4.5.
A little over 4.5. I am fucking proud of you.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank
Congratulations, you. Man.
I had to surrender.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into these questions.
Sure.
So my first question is, where were you born? Where were you raised? And tell us a little bit about your early childhood.
I was born in Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, like where they make bologna. The bologna town.
Yeah.
I grew up right outside of Lebanon in a little suburb town called Cleona, Pennsylvania, and
I never heard of it.
That's where I was raised. I was raised like in the suburbs.
Is that up by like Harrisburg, Hershey?
Yeah, right outside of Hershey, PA.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, the chocolate world. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what about your childhood, early childhood? You remember?
So I was in a 2-parent household. I grew up like middle class. Like we didn't really want for anything. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked all the time, and my early childhood was pretty good. 2-parent household. I have one sibling. I have a younger sister, and things were good up until I was about maybe like 12 or 13, and my dad decided to have an affair with my mom's best friend.
Oh,
yeah,
shit! Wow.
Yeah, so that's when things really took like a turn.
So you didn't have parents that were in an addiction or anything, right?
My mom ended up having an addiction after my dad left. She wanted a substance to feel numb,
sure.
And that's how that all started. But if I really look back, I think my mom had some serious mental health issues when I was growing up.
Yeah. That's a serious issue. That's a thing, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. Yes.
So how old were you when you say that she started using, like?
I would say maybe 12 or 13.
Okay, so for the most part, your early childhood was
pretty good. Normal. It was pretty
You
normal.
weren't one of the people that came, your parents were smoking crack on the couch and...
Nope.
Or like, I would walk in on my mom all, laid out on the bathroom floor and that type of shit. And I can remember that as a
But
at
that
an early
happened.
age.
That happened. After my dad left, my mom, started using Xanax. And like, we all know what Xanax does. You take too much,
Boy, do I.
you're blacking out. Like, you're missing days. Like, that my mom was just not present. And neither was my dad. When my dad left, he left.
Right. Yeah.
So.
I've had my bout with them Xannies, man. Shit. Them Xannies put me in a hospital for 10 days coming off. And that's the worst withdrawal ever.
Yeah.
They say you can actually die from a Xanax withdrawal.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, so what high school did you go to?
I went to Anvil Cleona High School.
Okay, were you a good student?
No.
No, you sucked.
I was like one of these like rebel kids, like didn't want to pay attention in class. Like, my mom, like when I was in high school, she just wasn't present. So she wasn't making me go to school. She wasn't making me do my schoolwork. Like, she didn't give a fuck. She just wasn't present.
Same thing with me.
Yeah.
I cut school at the beginning of 10th grade, my second day at school, and I never went back. And my mom, she just didn't care. I look back at it now, I understand. She actually had the disease of addiction, Like you're talking about with your mom, I don't know. That sometimes we just fall on these substance abuse problems where something traumatic like what your dad happens, and then it jumps off from there, man.
So my mom was like that mom too, that, I wanted to party. Like when I was a teenager, I started using. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to party and my mom was okay with that. She was supplying us with whatever. Like, and it was just like, she was that kind of mom, wanted to fit in with the kids, you know what I mean? Like the parties would always be at my house. I wasn't going to school. Like back in the day, we used to have truancy officers that would like follow you around, coming to your house, knocking on the door.
Remember that.
Yeah, being like, are you going to school today? I certainly am not.
Right.
She used to get major fines, but like my mom really, like I just went buck wild, and my story's a little different. Like I ended up, getting pregnant at 15, and my mom gave me a choice. She was like, you can either get married to this man, because he was like a couple years older than me. You can either get married to this man and have this baby, or, you can go take care of it at the clinic. And I was like, I'm going to get married. And my mom signed for me to get married at the age of 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Did you graduate?
I did not.
Yeah. Did you ever go back and get your GED?
Listen, I've been fighting to get this GED now for like.
So you're currently fighting.
I am currently right now. I'm about to be 50, and I am in class right now, algebra and geometry, trying to like finish the math portion of my GED.
It's never too late.
Never too late.
Never too late. Absolutely.
It
That's
sucks.
good. It's good for the soul to do these things for ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's that we need every sense of accomplishment we could get.
Absolutely. You can do anything.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what did your teenager years look like? Like, did you play any sports? You have any hobbies or anything like that?
I mean, I used to play softball, but like I said, I got married at 15. So when I got married, my ex-husband was in the service. So we went overseas when I was 15 years old to the Netherlands, of all places.
Damn, that's a hell of a story, man.
To the Netherlands, yeah. Listen, the legal
So you go
drinking
from like Hershey, PA to the Netherlands, married, pregnant, or did you have the kid already?
I had the kid.
Man, all right.
Legal drinking age over there was 16.
Okay.
I had no parental supervision. I had no friends at the time. Like, I just had him, and it was just like, it was like a free-for-all. Weed was legal over in the Netherlands. I didn't live on base housing, so it wasn't like somebody was like monitoring where we lived. Right. I mean, I just went ham. I went ham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So you had to grow up really fast.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you know when did you actually use your first drug?
Like my first hard drug?
No.
13.
Alcohol is a drug on this platform here. So you would say 13 years old?
I would say 13.
Yeah. I was probably like 16 years old. You know what I mean? So I asked this question to people. Do you think it was a peer pressure thing when you used that first drug?
I don't know if it was peer pressure. It was more like I was like so curious about it. Okay. Like I saw other people like using, and it was just like, they look like they're having fun, or, you want to be a part of. Like, I just wanted to be a part of something so bad. Like, it was just like, I want in.
Yeah.
I want in.
Yeah, for me, see, because my household was so jacked up, I was like anti-drug until I hit like 16, and then, I hung out on the corner in the city, and eventually it was just like, I tell people, I think I used drugs against my own will right from the start, because like I knew what it was hitting for, to drink this 40, to pop this pill. I know what's coming, and I just had this thing in me like, this isn't a good idea, but yet, I still did it.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a peer pressure thing. So, do you remember, how did that first drug you took make you feel? Like,
Listen, I'll never forget it.
What was it?
It was weed.
Weed? Okay, yeah.
It was weed. And I just remember feeling like so happy, so like euphoric. Like, when you get stoned and you get the munchies and you're laughing with your friends.
Yeah.
And I just remember like it being so much fun at that moment.
Right.
Like I wanted to do it again and again and again and again.
Yeah. I had some good times on weed, man.
Yeah.
Listen, drugs, my active addiction, I had some good ass days in active addiction where it was fun and I did things, until it was fun no more.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So, looking back at it now, right? Can you see any signs of the disease of addiction before you use a drug? Like in your behaviors, things like that?
I mean, I kind of was like the kid that never told the truth.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was the kid that kind of like manipulated, like, or just, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to like touch the hot water. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just had to touch, I wanted to touch the stove, and it's like, I saw that back then and it was just, I don't know. I just always wanted to like, I don't know, just test.
Right.
Test. Take a test.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
I could see signs. My number one sign was the mask wearing. Like I had a different mask for, if I was around people talking like intelligent and respectful, you know what I mean? I could be that. If I'm in the hood, I can do hood talk. It was like whoever I wanted to be. Because like at the end of the day, like I was afraid that you wouldn't want me around.
Yeah.
So I just adapted, and in even situations that I didn't want to be in, it's just the weirdest thing, and I would just still try to get in where I fit in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's like an abandonment issue. I don't know. I might have to do another 4-step to check that out. You know what I mean? But so take us back to when you're in your active addiction, right? From that first drug, and take us all the way up to when you got clean this time, and explain to us, like, break down the progression of that, if you could.
I mean, so like in my 20s, I was always like that mom that like had the weed. Like, I wouldn't go anywhere without smoking weed. Like, I thought I was going to live like being a weed smoker like all my life.
Yeah.
And, drinking was never my thing, but it could have been, I remember, going out a couple times, getting pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Like in my 30s, I started using cocaine. Like, we went to a party, like, somebody had an 8-ball, and I was like, once again, I wanted to touch the stove. Mm-hmm. You hear things like, I'm not young, like, like don't use, or like, kids been through the DARE program. I grew up in the Just Say No era, but it was just like, I had to touch the stove.
Right.
And I remember like the first time I had done cocaine, it was fucking beautiful. Like I just couldn't, the house was like spotless, the laundry was always done. I could go. But here's the thing, like I remember I could put it down on the weekends, but I remember before I put it down, it was like, damn, I wish I had some more. Mm-hmm. Like I could kind of walk away from that.
Right.
And I had ended up having a few surgeries in, my late 30s. And that's when it hit. I started with opiates, pill form, and it was just like one thing led to another. And, you know, when you take too many and, you know, you end up buying them off the streets, and then, you know, one thing leads to another, and I ended up with like a massive heroin addiction.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where it took
Before
me.
you know it, I remember there used to be this dude that used to hang around the corner like I would be. He would be on the other corner. He was an old head, and he was on heroin, and he'd be all, you know, doing that dip thing and I remember going, man, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? Like, how could somebody ever look like that?
Yeah.
Fast forward, I looked exactly like that.
Yes.
I was one of those drone Walking Dead, you know, down the way that we see in Kensington. You know what I'm saying? I was one of those dudes.
Yes.
And yeah, what a fucked up life, man. And the crazy thing is, you think it's normal.
Yeah.
Like you're living normal. Everybody else is wacky. Like you're normal.
Or do you remember going to treatment when you're telling the treatment like, oh, like just remember like your first or second time to treatment when you're like, yeah, I'm never gonna like use a needle.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
like I'm never gonna like live in a cardboard box or be homeless. Like, I mean, come on. Like that is where it takes you. That is where it takes you.
Absolutely. So give us your mindset the day before your last use this time, before you were, all right, I'm done. And then, you know, what happened? What is your headspace and what's going on the day before your last use this time?
I mean, the day before my last use, like I was already like, you know how they say the relapse happens before the relapse?
Yeah.
So my mind was like going, and, you know, I started doing like sneaky stuff. You know, see, when they say secrets keep you sick, like, you know, secrets keep us sick. Like, I just remember, like, my head was already in relapse mode before I ever even picked up the drug.
Yeah.
And it's the truth when they say that. Like, you know, my mind was already like running before I picked up the drug.
Yeah, it's like I call it the invisible line of relapse. So we cross this line. We haven't used yet, but we cross this line where we have let our guard down. For lack of a better, we let our guard down. The program went away, and some of us might hold on to, maybe we still loiter in a meeting once in a while. You know what I mean? But the program itself is non-existent, and it's kind of like, you know, your shields are down, and the voice, that voice that talks to us in our own head,
yes,
it just gets louder and louder, and the next thing you know, you're fucking using, dude.
Well, here's another thing too, like. You would see me at meetings everywhere, but like I'm not sharing like really what's going on.
That's it,
or like I want to get high. Like I'm like, oh, everything's great, and you know I have all these opportunities now, and life is good. Meanwhile, like, you know, I should have been saying like I want to get fucked up, like you know, sharing the real shit.
And the longer you stay clean, the harder that is to do. Yeah. Because, you know, what's that thing we say? You can't save your face and your ass at the same time.
Facts.
But we try. Yeah. We definitely try to, right? So. Did you do detox rehab?
I ended up in the hospital, at Lower Bucks Hospital once again.
Okay.
You know, and I had to go home. Like my last time, listen, I don't want to say this, like I believe in treatment, like, you know, I believe, you know, people need that. But I went home, like to where I'm from, and stayed in my house for a couple days. And I mean, I was lucky this time. Like I went on like an 11-day run, you know, and came right back. Okay. You know, I went back to a recovery house, was in the intake room on the top bunk, like on a 30-day blackout, because that's how it works around here. Right. And because I was like with myself, by myself. Right. Like something changed in me. Like I really had enough. All
right. So I like to ask people this. So think back to your first meeting that you walked into. We're in Narcotics Anonymous, right? We represent all 12-step, you know, all of them are good thing to do. So, but we're in Narcotics Anonymous, right? What was that like the first meeting? Did you think like, yo, this could work for me? Were you thinking, oh, this is no good? Do you remember anything from that first meeting?
I do remember, like, okay, so my first real introduction to NA was out here, and the meetings are big out here. I remember walking into my first meeting, and this dude gave me a hug, like for real, like just was like, oh, hey, like, you know, welcome. Yeah. And I'm just like, you know, I just remember him as like that dude that always gave the hug. And I just remember it being big, but I remember people sharing about real stuff. Like, not like, you know, and I'm just thinking in my head, I'm never going to share that. I'm never going to share that. I'm never going to share that kind of stuff. Like, why would he do that? And it was just, I don't know. Like, I just remember people sharing about the real stuff. And I'm just like, you know, maybe this does work.
So
like,
you think that there was a seed planted?
Yes, there was like a power, like there was a power in when addicts get together and you talk like about real stuff, about what's going on, like there's power, like something happens.
Yeah. And so you just mentioned it. So I had somebody leave in the comments, a gentleman by the name of Moped Joe. That's a weird fucking name, but whatever. He left a comment, and his question was like that he thought I should ask was, how important is the hug in recovery? Ooh. And what does it mean to you? Like, what does that hug mean to you?
Welcome, like you're okay, like you're loved.
Right.
You know, when you're out using, we're isolated. We don't want to be bothered by nobody. Like, you know, we're not in a good headspace. And it's just like that hug was exactly what I needed. Like, it kind of just like let me know that things were going to be okay without saying it.
Right.
Welcome. Like, you know, it's okay.
There's something about the embrace. It's kind of like this flow of life energy between two human beings.
Yeah.
And I guess you can see, I don't know, you can't really get that with a handshake, but it's still a good way to greet somebody. But I'll just add to that. To me, the hug is important to me because in the game that we play, this disease of addiction, you may not see that person ever again.
Yeah.
And plus, life's too short on its own. But you add in the fact that we have this disease, and you see one person one week, and the next week you're like, yo, that dude, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I think, one of the reasons I think the hug is important. So how about a higher power, God of your understanding? How important is that to a recovering addict?
It's A1. Like, listen, I heard in a meeting one time, and I carry this with me everywhere I go. Somebody had said, thank God, God is not a one chance God.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you know, I carry that with me all the time. Like, you know, when I was out there, and a higher power is the most important because, like, I couldn't have done this without, like, the man upstairs. Right. I call him God, whatever you guys call him, like, you know, it's your higher power, not mine. Like, he's carried me through some stuff. Like, you know, he's A1.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it without him.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do when nobody's around and you can't get anybody on the phone, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, turn it. To me, you know, I'm not very religious, but I like to pray and meditate just so I can put it out there in the universe that, like, hey, all I know is I'm not God.
Yeah.
And all I know is I'm not clean on my own power.
Yeah.
You know, there is something higher power. For me, it's obviously the group. The group's my higher power. People like you, all right? So let me ask you this question. Do you think there's a cure for the disease of addiction?
Absolutely not.
Why do you think that?
I mean, it's incurable and fatal. Like, because here's the thing, like, we don't just get clean and like that's it, like the disease stops. Like, it will manifest itself in different ways. Like, it's just, there's not a cure. There's not a cure. There's not a pill. There's not a shot. There's not a cure. We can't just, like, I'm just speaking because I am in NA. We can't just, like, leave, you know, the rooms and, like, we're going to be okay. It will manifest itself in different ways, if not, like, you know, back on the street, you know, with a needle in my arm.
Yeah. There's
cure.
There's a lot of symptoms going on. So you got the action, like the action symptoms, like, you know, overeating, gambling, drugs, drinking, shopping, right? And then there's like these internal ones where the manipulation, the lying, the cheating, the stealing, and all that. And those things don't go away just because you stop using drugs.
No, absolutely not.
All right? We're talking about, we need to rewire the brain.
Yeah.
You know, I had a dude comment on one of my posts, and he says, you know, you shouldn't call yourself a recovering addict because that'll just take you right back to where you were. All right, and he's knocking the recovering part of it. So I said to him, I said, listen, man, I'm not recovering from the drug use anymore. I'm recovering from the disease of addiction.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? Like,
Absolutely.
I rewired my fucking brain along the way, and this shit's gonna take a while. And plus, I keep doing excessive shit on top of it. I keep overeating. I keep doing the porn. You know, I've been pretty good. I haven't gambled in 5 months. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I've actually cut down on my porn.
Good.
For shit, maybe about 5 months. Because I'm trying to, because all this shit lights up the same parts of the brain. Mm-hmm. We still want that dopamine.
Yeah.
And we're still flooding it. So I look at it like, how could the brain really heal if I'm still fucking doing that kind of shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or you want to take care of all the shit on the outside and look good and this, that.
Right.
But what is really going on the inside?
Yeah.
You know? Nah. No cure.
That disease concept is something I try to tell people that are just coming in, like, you need to try to grasp that as fast as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you don't have a moral dilemma, that you have a disease.
Well, listen, remember when you come in and, like, you know, you first hear, like, oh, you made a choice, or, like, the families out there being like, oh, you chose this, like, you made a choice, like, you know, once you're in, like, working on yourself, like, you understand, like, no, like, I mean, I did make a choice the first time, maybe,
right.
But after that, all bets were off.
Yeah.
That's it.
No choice.
No choice.
I hear people in meetings and they say, I have a choice to use today because and I always say to myself, dude, I don't know if I would ever choose to use. What I will choose to do is not call my sponsor, not do step work, not go to meetings, not keep that conscious contact with my God.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then it'll lead me to where I have no choice but to use.
That's right.
I'll use just because it's fucking sunny out at that point.
Yeah.
Once I have my guards down. So so if somebody's watching this right now who's struggling, right? And they got that, they're feared up. We're feared up, man. And they just don't think, they feel unique, that maybe they're worse off than most people, right? Maybe they feel like they got a problem, but they're better than. I wasn't the heroin junkie type. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. If somebody's out there curious about getting clean or struggling to get clean, like, what would you say to those people?
Reach out for help. Like, there's so many outlets that you can use, that you can call. Like, you know, if you don't tell us, we don't know. If you can't ask for help, we can't help you. And it's okay. Like, listen, we got clean because we asked for help.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. It's possible.
Yeah, and I know the lies that our head tells us. You know what I mean? Because, hey, let's not get it fucked up. We accepted the fact, at some point we accepted the fact that we're going to use for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
That was a thing.
Yes.
And what I've been learning, on top of that, what I've been learning about the brain is it actually becomes instinctual for us to use.
Yeah.
Like, we look at it the same way as drinking water or eating food. You know what I'm saying? So so think about it. If you're looking at something like that, like you need it to live, that's hard to come off of, right?
Yeah.
But I just want you to know that you can do it.
Yes.
You like she said in the beginning, you got to surrender. It was like the first thing you said. You got to surrender to it, man. That's the thing. It's not about fighting to stay clean. It's about not fighting and just surrendering. All right, so that's gonna do it for the interview, right? So I came up with this thing at the end of the interview that I like to call the Fast Ass 5. And it's just 5 random ass questions that I'm going to ask people, and you just come out with your answer real quick. All right, so first one, summer or winter?
Winter.
Damn, another winter. That's like 3 summers and 2 winters. I love winter, man.
Yeah.
All right, so vegetables or candy?
Vegetables.
All right, that's like my first vegetables answer right there. So you're at the barbecue, you going hamburger or hot dog?
Hamburger all the way.
All right. Last one, brutally honest or lie when you have to?
Brutally honest.
All right. Cool. All right, well, listen, I appreciate you doing this.
I appreciate you doing this for the people.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work, man.
Just trying to carry the message, man. Seriously.
And if you're having trouble, man, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode right here, man. Like I said, I really appreciate you guys watching and participating. As you seen, my man left a comment. I threw it in there. I need your input here to help me out. You know what I'm saying? And with that, I want you to remember that the disease of addiction is broad and outside of the realm of just using drugs. And with that, we're out of here.